Luke was horrified to discover that a hand had grown out of a distant tree. Just as he thought he was seeing things, the hand suddenly moved. Panicked, Luke rushed back to tell the others that there was a terrifying monster in the forest. However, Sam, who had an injured foot, didn't believe him and thought Luke was exaggerating to pressure him into enduring the pain. Seeing Sam sulking, Luke couldn't be bothered to argue and simply shouldered his backpack and walked ahead. When Sam noticed that Luke wasn't joking, he reluctantly followed. Not long after, the four of them came across a tattered cloth in the forest. When they lifted it, they discovered it was an old, abandoned tent. Inside the tent, they found a shoe and a backpack. Upon opening the backpack, they found a wallet with a family photo inside. It seemed that a family had once camped here, but why their belongings were left behind was something they would soon find out. As night fell again, they set up camp near the wooden cabin in the valley. After having a bit to eat, Luke was just about to sleep when he heard footsteps outside the tent, followed by the sound of branches being pushed aside. Then, a huge shadow appeared behind his tent. Luke held his breath in fear, not daring to move. Suddenly, the tent beside him was uprooted entirely. As they fled the tents, the monster had already vanished, leaving only the sound of a horrific scream echoing through the forest. Luke followed the sound but couldn't find the person who had been taken due to the darkness of the night. The three of them remained awake all night in the forest. The next day, they found their missing companion torn apart and hanging from a tree, in the same horrific condition as the reindeer they had seen earlier. It was only then that they realized the monster was the killer. Fearing that the monster would return, they hurriedly buried their friend and left immediately. However, the dense forest disoriented them, and they wandered for an unknown amount of time. Thirsty and exhausted, they finally gave in and drank water from a small puddle on the ground. After drinking, they noticed rows of dense footprints in the mud. Looking ahead, they realized these prints were left by the monster it had been here too. To avoid the creature, they went in the opposite direction, unaware that their every move was being watched by the monster. Night fell quickly, and as Luke gazed into the distance, he saw flickering lights not too far away. Just as he was about to share this good news with the others, the monster suddenly emerged from the forest and snatched Jack away. Terrified, Luke turned to run but accidentally crashed into a tree. When he woke up again, he found that both he and Sam had been tied up. Outside, human voices could be heard from time to time. Looking through a small gap, Luke saw a group of people stacking logs together, seemingly building something. He soon realized that, as they were discussing how to escape, the door of the wooden cabin suddenly opened, and a strange woman walked in. She carefully examined Luke and then pulled down her clothes to reveal 5 bloody scars on her body. Seeing this, Luke instinctively pulled down his own clothes and was shocked to find the same 5 bloody scars on his body. Luke didn't understand what these marks meant. Perhaps they were some kind of symbol. He wanted to ask the woman, but she ignored him and left the cabin. Shortly after, Sam was taken outside and tied to a wooden stake. It seemed like they were preparing for some kind of ritual. Before long, a woman appeared in front of Sam. She gently caressed his cheek with her hand, and as Sam fell into a daze, those soft hands suddenly turned into withered claws. Sam's fate ended up just like their previous companion. He was brutally hung on a tree by the monster. Seeing this, Luke turned pale with fear. If he didn't escape soon, he knew he would meet the same fate. Just as he was planning his escape, the door opened again, and a young girl entered, bringing him some food. Seeing that she wasn't as ruthless as the others, Luke tried to communicate with her. The girl revealed that the monster was the illegitimate son of Loki, an ancient god from Norse mythology. As long as they offered sacrifices to the monster, it would grant them eternal life. She explained that if they avoided eye contact with the creature, it wouldn't capture them. That's why everyone knelt in submission whenever it appeared. Luke didn't want to live as a puppet under the monster's rule. After the girl left, he used his mouth to untie the ropes and freed himself. He was determined to escape and fight back. Quietly sneaking out of the room, he discovered that there were guards at the entrance, so he retreated to the second floor of the cabin. There, he found many dried-up corpses, but they weren't truly dead. They were still alive, trapped in some sort of eternal existence. So this was what the girl meant by eternal life. Horrified, Luke set the entire place on fire. Flames quickly engulfed the cabin, and amidst the chaos, he grabbed a gun from a corner and fled. Once outside, he saw the monster attacking its own followers, seemingly punishing them. It had the girl who revealed the truth to him clenched in its jaws. Determined to save her, Luke aimed his gun at the monster's head and fired. However, the bullet didn't take the creature down, it only enraged it further. The monster roared and charged toward Luke with terrifying speed. Luke tried to run, but how could he outrun a 4-legged beast? Within moments, he was knocked flying. Yet, the monster didn't kill him. Instead, it wanted him to submit because he had already been marked. It had chosen him. Luke pretended to surrender, and when the monster lowered its guard, he suddenly grabbed a nearby axe and struck its head. The creature howled in pain, but the injury wasn't enough to kill it. Desperate to escape, Luke ran with all his might. Fortunately, he managed to get out of the forest. The monster, however, stopped at the edge, roaring furiously but not daring to step outside. Realizing the monster couldn't leave the forest, Luke vented his anger, screaming at it. All his friends had died because of this creature, and he wished he could destroy it. As the first rays of sunlight broke through the trees, Luke finally set off on his journey home. Four friends had embarked on this trip, but only he survived. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more thrilling tales.